Welcome to this Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name's Nick Gunning, and we're following the Ewoks from Return of the Jedi to the Ewok TV series to the 80s cartoon and beyond. Today, filling in for Steve, I'm joined by Kendra Mikols, my co-host over on 9021 Here We Go. Kendra was last with us on episode 5, The Traveling Jindas, and when the Jindas come back, so does Kendra.
I follow the Jindas.
That's contractual, right? Anytime a Jinda
Yeah.
shows up, you have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do, yes.
All right. Hey, sorry I keep making you watch terrible episodes of Star Wars cartoon from the 80s.
It's fine. What are friends for?
Good, I'm glad. I'm glad. Today we're discussing Season 1, Episode 7, The Curse of the Jindas. This episode originally aired on October 19th, 1985. This is almost an anniversary, Kendra. We're recording on October 26th.
Oh, so close.
Missed it by that much. This episode was compiled along with 3 others for the VHS compilation Ewoks 2, The Guppins and the Jindas, as was the last episode you were on, Kendra.
The Guppins?
I think it's Guppins, yeah. I don't know, have we seen...
What's a Guppin?
That's a good question. I wish I could tell you, but I honestly can't.
What kind of a Ewok fan are you?
I'm learning, Kendra. I'm learning as we go.
That's what this podcast is about. It's
You're
about
right.
learning.
You're right. You're right. I would defer to Steve's Star Wars knowledge on this. I think he predates me, and I think he goes deeper Star Wars than I do. So,
Yeah.
I wish I could help you.
That's why you make a good team. But
you're
he's
right.
not here.
I know, but Kendra, we have each other. This
Yes.
episode was written by Bob Carew, and it was directed by Ken Stevenson and Raymond D. Felice. Our cast highlight of the
Sweet.
week, I know. Old Don McManus plays Bondo. Kendra, what do you feel about Bondo? You've seen every Bondo episode now. He's our head Jinda.
I think take him or leave him.
You can one or the other. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Well, this is the final appearance of the Jindas in all of Star Wars. I mean, as our time of recording, the Jindas ended here, Kendra, so you've seen them all.
I'm gonna write some fan fiction.
Are you going to? I would love to read
Yeah.
that. I would love to
Yeah.
read that.
Yeah, it'll be great.
This is the last we see of the Jindas, but it's not the last we're going to hear of Don McManus, because he's going to come back playing the role of Chukatrak
Yes, of course.
in a later episode. Aside from his work in Ewoks, he also did voice work in Droids and did regular work on Steve's favorite show, The Care Bears, where he voiced Sour Sam.
Is that really Steve's favorite show?
Well, he says it's because his kids like to watch it, but I don't know. He always seems to know a lot about The Care Bears, and he's like, oh, it's my kids. So you be the judge.
Yeah, and I will.
I put this in here also because he played Dr. Cromwell on MacGyver. And whenever I think of MacGyver, I think of Steve, because Steve and I, we were college roommates, and we lived in this cabin, as we've discussed in past episodes. And his DVD collection was just a lot of MacGyver, and it was a lot of like Remington Steele. These like action-y sort of mystery shows of the week from like the 80s, 90s. That's Steve's wheelhouse. So he probably would recognize.
That your wheelhouse as well?
But I was never into like MacGyver or Remington Steele, that sort of thing. Like Murder, She Wrote.
Why did we
Yes.
watch that terrible MacGyver reboot together?
Kendra,
Why?
for the same reason Steve and I are watching all the Ewok shows together, for friendship. Okay?
MacGyver's about friendship.
Why do I have to keep explaining this to you? Luckily, even though Steve can't be with us tonight, he already wrote out his uber detailed plot, and it's not as long as last time. Kendra, when you were here last time, that plot was a full 10 minutes, and that's not an exaggeration. And
long.
Steve and I both learned something that day. So so here is Steve's uber detailed plot for season 1, episode 7, The Curse of the Jindas, and I'm going to do my darndest because this is Steve's job.
All right.
We open this episode with the Ewok kids driving a large wagon to Muth's hut to trade for winter supplies. The crew runs into some Jindas who invite them to relax with them by a beautiful waterfall. The Ewoks would love to, but can only join them on their way back from Muth's. The Jindas are in fact enjoying themselves by a beautiful waterfall. However, the peace is broken when Trebla, the magician, warns Bondo about the curse. Unconcerned, Bondo says not to worry, they will leave tomorrow. Annoyed, Trebla walks off, saying, "You'll say I didn't warn you." Suddenly, large floating boulders surround the Jindas and begin to chase them. kind of a creepy image, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, a little.
They
Little.
quickly pack up and escape into the woods as the floating boulders pursue them, a sentence I have never said before. Back on the Ewok cart, the kids talk about all the things they want to buy. Wicket shows Nisa he's been collecting Mon seeds to trade at the store. They're beautiful and very valuable. They finally arrive at Muth's store. The Ewoks tell Muth that they aren't interested in bargains, but have strict instructions on what the village needs to survive the winter. Muth has his helpers empty the Ewok wagon as Wicket reveals his Mon seeds to him. Muth is impressed, and the rest of the group all give their suggestions on what Wicket should trade them for. Muth offers a lucky stone brought to him by fearsome traders, and I'm sure that's fine. The group protests to Wicket that it's just a stupid stone, but he's too tempted by it and agrees to the trade. Muth even throws in some taffy in the deal. Don't get me started on that taffy.
Oh, the taffy.
Frustrated, Weechi jests they should leave before his brother trades them for something stupid as well. Nonetheless, Wicket is happy. On the way home, everyone expresses their frustration with the deal, except Willie, because he got the taffy. Nisa's also happy because Wicket gifted her the stone. Somebody's got a crush. Suddenly, the group hears animal noises and is surprise attacked by the Scandits. Scandits are bipedal fox-like creatures that use their capes to soar down from the treetops to attack their enemies. Classic. Baga the ox is frightened and begins to run with the cart, causing everyone to fall off and be captured by the Scandits. Paplu, Weechi, Willie, Teebo, Wicket, Nisa, and Latara are all taken prisoners and locked in Scandit cages. Coincidentally, the Jindas arrive at the Scandit lair, offering their entertainment for food. Bondo doesn't know that the Ewoks have been taken captive until he hears a tune he recognizes. He follows the tune to discover Latara and company in cages. The Scandits protest when he approaches, so Bondo pretends to not know who they are. That night, the Jindas start their show with Cheetor and his flying ferrets. What an act. What an act.
That.
Meanwhile, two Jinda belly dancers, saucy, approach the Ewoks in their cages. The dancers put a spell on the Scandit guards, causing them to fall asleep, while Treblo releases the Ewoks in the most irritating stage whispers of any character I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Quickly, the Ewoks are hidden inside a large worm costume and told to meet behind the stage. In order to get around some more guards, they accidentally head right onto the stage. Oh no. But instead of getting off right away, Wicket thinks he can scare the Scandits. His plan fails when the worm costume falls apart. The Scandits are furious and begin to chase everyone out of their camp. The Jindas help return the Ewoks back to their village safely. The Ewok parents are grateful to the Jindas, however they are distraught as all the village supplies are missing. Suddenly, those mysterious rocks appear and begin chasing the Jindas again. Bondo exclaims, "It's the curse of the Jindas!" as he runs away. Chirpa instructs the Jindas to retreat up to the Ewok village. Every Jinda is saved, however, while the floating rocks begin to surround the entire village. Chirpa and Logray press Bondo to tell them of the curse. He cracks easily and tells them a story in a horrific song that is not tonally appropriate to the story that's being told. The Jindas used to be farmers, not wanderers. In exchange for protection, the Jindas fed a rock wizard. It was a good relationship. That is, until the wizard thought the Jindas tried to poison him. The wizard banished the Jindas from their homeland and cast a spell on them to keep them constantly on the move. If they ever stayed somewhere too long, rocks would rise up and chase them. Logray recognizes the wizard and believes the decision to banish the Jindas is uncharacteristic of him. I guess they're old friends. Maybe they were college roommates.
Maybe.
We're not told, but maybe. The group wonders if there is a way to help the Jindas, and that night Logray thinks very carefully of a plan. In the morning, the Jindas thank the Ewoks for their offer to help. Chirpa tells Bondo it's dangerous for a wizard to interfere with another wizard spell. Paplu teases Wicket, suggesting he use the lucky stone he gave Nisa to save the day. Meanwhile, Logray and Teebo inspect the rocks surrounding the village. Logray begins to chant an incantation. Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Kendra?
no, that was it. That was perfect.
Birds come flying in holding ropes, and then wild ferrets come and tie the ropes to the stones, securing them tightly. Bondo steps down out of the protection of the village, and the stones try to fly, but are unable to do anything, as they're tied up. Again, Paplu and Weechi tease Wicket for not praising his lucky stone instead of Logray for the plan being successful. Wicket's tired of the teasing, so he tells them that he traded for the stone because he wanted to, and gave it to someone he liked. Do you think it's someone that he likes?
I do.
You think it's just like, or you think it's likes?
I think it's a like situation.
Okay. Anyway, He didn't do it for some greedy Ewok who tried to get him to trade it for something they wanted. Suddenly, everything begins to shake, and Logray suspects that Bondo's troubles may not be over yet. The ground in front of Logray and Bondo opens up, and a huge rock formation emerges from inside it. It is the Rock Wizard, and his booming voice demands to know who fools with his magic. The cowardly Jindas point to Logray, thanks a lot, who tells them he messed with his misguided curse because the Jindas did the Ewoks a favor. The Rock Wizard tells everyone the Jindas have caused him great pain as he clutches his mouth. In anger, the wizard begins destroying Ewok huts. Nyssa shouts and pleads with the wizards to stop, and just then the wizard notices that lucky stone that Wicket gave Nyssa hanging around her neck. The surprised wizard wonders how she got his tooth. Twist. It was a tooth.
Big twist.
Which is really gross when you think about it. She's just like wearing a man's tooth around her neck.
Yeah.
Wicket tells her to quickly give the stone to the Rock Wizard. He puts the tooth in place and is immediately relieved, which is not how that kind of thing works. You got to put that tooth in milk or water, and you got to get to a dentist quickly. Quickly.
Too tired for this.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All this time he thought it was the Jindas that caused him pain, but he only lost his tooth. He asks them where they got it, and they tell him it was sold to them as a magic stone. Perhaps it is, said the Rock Wizard as he agrees to remove the Jinda curse so they may return home. They'll be wandering Jindas no more. Everyone rejoices. Bondo cheers for Logray and Chirpa, but Chirpa reminds everyone they had help from his daughter, Nyssa. Wicket reminds Paplu and Weechi they also had help from his, quote, stupid little rock. They chuckle nervously, exposing their guilt and making fun of Wicket. The rest continue to laugh joyously. Roll credits.
They do laugh for a long time.
They do. That's like classic Hanna-Barbera. That's like Flintstones, 60s. Forever. Just forever. Oh, Kendra, here we are again. Here we are again, back in the world of the Jindas.
Yeah. A great place to be.
Characters that, by their own admission, never go to the same place twice. Kendra, they never go to the same place twice. And I can't stress that enough. Because in the episode Traveling Jindas, that was a whole thing. Nyssa was stuck with them, and they were like, well, sorry, Charlie, because we're never going back there. But here, just 2 episodes later, they were in the neighborhood.
Yeah. They were just like on their way.
They travel.
Like, oh, hey, it's the Jindas. We thought we'd never see them again, but here they are.
It's like how when you put a playlist on random, but sometimes a song plays twice, or it'll be like that song, a different song, and that song again. That's how random it is, that you might just find yourself right back at the same track.
Yeah, definitely.
Similar thing with the Jindas here. I can't help but feel that this is really just a retread of the other episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
the curse part of it doesn't really come into play until the very end.
No.
I mean, it's there at the beginning for a second, but then we do a whole bunch of other stuff before we get back to it.
Well, yeah, when you have the Rock Wizard like appearing out of nowhere, it's kind of like, whoa, what? It's a little like...
Rock Wizard.
You just don't see that coming at all.
Rock Wizards, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A classic character
as Rock
Star
Wizards
Wars
do.
Lore.
When this started, I thought, oh, are these maybe just like different Jindas? It's just a different pack. But no, there's Bondo. There's Bondo.
I wondered that
glory.
too, because we start with these different characters that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
But then we very quickly see Bondo.
Right. Well, just like in the last episode, they're like, oh, you know, they're doing a show, and all the antagonists are in the audience, and the Ewoks got to pretend to be in the show. We just did that exact same thing before.
Yeah, the exact same thing.
And this has happened so many times in this show where it's like they just kind of like do a find and replace in an episode and be like, it's a new episode because this time the bad guys are little blue foxes with masks, you know?
I did like the Scandits more than the
Dulocks,
whatever those other things are. Yeah.
I agree. They were cuter. They reminded me of that little like Muppety guy who hangs out with Jabba the Hutt, but they're not. They're not related. They are not related. I did find the rocks to be eerie. There was just something about them sort of like floating because they're just rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I liked that. I was
like, what are they gonna do if the rocks catch them?
Right.
Gently nudge them.
It begs a lot of questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
It raises more questions.
We never find out.
We do not find out. Yeah. I liked a little movement on the romance between Wicket and Nisa. Got a little bit
I
of
didn't
a
get to see any of that romance in the last one,
no.
so
Well, it's just
there
always
was
kind
nothing.
of like they always kind of like to spend time together, but here gifts are exchanged, and I just think that's a step in
And
a
once you're
relationship.
exchanging
Yeah,
gifts, yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean?
that's another step.
They already know each other's parents. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, there was movement.
Yeah.
Did you notice we had two different usage of Ichiwawa? Did you pick up on that?
Yes, I did.
The first time,
One was like a scared,
yes. Yeah, one was like,
yes.
"Oh, we better get
And
out of
the other
here."
one was like an oh brother,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I
And we talked about this a little last time. How is it supposed to be
originally
used?
Ichiwawa was like a hooray kind of thing, but then it was kind of used as like a hurry up. So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like a
It's
catch-all.
it's becoming Smurf. It's becoming the Smurf of the Ewok language,
They
and I
did, and they used that other phrase that I don't think they used in the other episode I was
Kavark. They
on.
said, "Oh, Kavark" at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When
Yes.
they're on the stage and they're like, "Oh, the jig is up," Wicket says
Yeah.
Kavark. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. I like the terminology dropping in there. Seriously though, Trebla when he is like, I think anytime he talks, he's speaking in such an irritating stage whisper that it just feels like he's too
Oh,
far
yeah.
away from the mic. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really
Yeah.
feel like
It's
he's
almost like an
whispering.
ASMR like situation.
Yeah, yeah. It,
Is what
it's
it's
it
like.
was really I found it like distracting. Like every time it happened, I
Mm,
was like, what is going on with the sound on this? There was a couple issues like that, but
yeah.
I don't know. That one was weird. I just can't get over the retread. Like what about the Jindas are like, yeah, but let's really find out what makes them tick. You know?
Yeah.
I just
But like we did the whole show again, but we didn't get to like see like we heard flying ferrets
yes.
and whoever was like, "Oh, this is new," but we didn't get
Yeah.
to see it.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's like the same thing, but we didn't get to see it at all.
It's such a weird flex, I think, to have an episode like the Traveling Jindas and then be like, but let's have a second episode that explains why they're traveling. You know? Like, I,
Yeah.
I have an answer to a question I didn't have, I guess, is where I find
They got a
myself at
lot of
this point.
fan mail.
They
People
did.
were like, "Tell us more.
But why? Well, what's the
Why are they
genesis?
traveling?"
What's the genesis of their traveling? And so, I mean, it's told in song. They're like, "Tell us why," and he's like, "No," and he's like, "Tell us why," and he's like, "Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8," and he's telling this story, about how they're like cursed to this hellish existence of traveling. But it's like the worst, chunkiest rhymes I've ever heard in a song. 90% of it
It
didn't
was
rhyme.
like nails. It was nails on a
It
chalkboard
was like the
for
man
me.
can't sing. The rhymes
Mm-mm.
were like close, but not quite there. And the tone of the song was all like boop a doop a doop a doop. And it was a very like
Hmm.
sad and dour story. So a lot of decisions were made that I question.
Yeah.
I have serious
Yeah.
questions about what was happening there.
Did you think that the store owner was another classic Star Wars racial stereotype?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, they just picked a an aardvark who has a big nose,
Oh,
and that's like the thing with Watto is he's like this
huh,
Jewish stereotype who has a
huh,
big nose.
huh.
As I
I,
was watching it, I was like, really? You couldn't pick any other creature to
you
be
know what?
this?
I didn't pick up on that, but you might be right. You might be right
Oh,
because yeah, I guess you can kind of see that. Huh.
that's what I thought as I was watching it. I was
Well,
like, huh.
I guess I did notice it was a weird choice, like of a character, like a character design we've never seen before and everything. Like
It's like an aardvark.
it is weird. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you're probably right. Whether intentional or not,
Yeah.
there's probably something to
Unfor
it.
Unfortunately.
Good catch, I guess. Bad catch. I don't know.
Uh,
The one thing that, well, not one thing. I mean, I didn't. It's not that I hated this episode, but I liked when Logray is doing his mysticism stuff. Tebow is like right there with him, like learning, like apprenticing, and I feel like that is maybe the only thing that's been a recurring thing. I feel like that's the only true bit of like ongoing character development is to have Tebow like kind of becoming the apprentice, whatever.
mm. Yeah.
spiritual,
I
mystical
I didn't
guy.
know if that was just like a thing he normally did or if he was, that was his first time, but
It's no, it's been happening more and more, but this was not like a big. They didn't make a big deal about it. It was just kind of like, well, obviously Tebow's going to be there, and I liked that. I felt like that was more connected than pretty much anything else that's happened in the show. So I did like to see that. What did you think of the Rock Wizard? Because I mean, like tonally for the show it was a little odd, but like, what did you think of the character?
fine. He reminded me of the wizard from
Oh, like the
Santa Claus is
misers?
coming to
Oh,
town.
okay. Like he reminded you of like Snow Miser?
No, no, no.
Oh.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh, yes, okay. I know the one you mean. Yeah. Okay, I could see
He's
that.
like a mean wizard, but then he becomes a nice
Then he
wizard
becomes
and they
nice by
sing
the
a
end.
song.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
reminding me of a character from Return to Oz. I thought maybe that's what you were going to say because I was definitely getting
Oh,
some, yeah, I guess, rock monster kind of vibes, but
yeah.
I did like him. It felt like we were in a different cartoon for the time he was there. Like
He did, yeah.
the animation style, even his voice work was just like noticeably different from the vibe of everything else.
Yeah.
And I don't really
It,
feel like that was a choice. Like I don't want to give them too much credit because it didn't really feel like a choice. It just felt like, you know,
it happened.
yeah, it happened. It's different, and that's
Didn't
all there
feel
is to
like
it.
a very Star Wars thing to
No,
me,
no, it
but
didn't. But I did kind of like the twist.
mm,
I kind of like the twist that he was just mad about the missing tooth and that she
yeah.
had it. I mean, that was kind of fun. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, forget it. You don't have to be cursed anymore.
You guys are good.
I'm just a happy rock man who can stop eating soup." So, I don't know. As we've said, anytime Steve and I have come up on one of these episodes that feels like a retread of an episode we've already seen, I think order is everything. Because like maybe if we'd seen this one, I don't know. Honestly,
Later.
I guess though I feel like I did like this better than Traveling Jindas.
I probably liked it a little better as well. But you're right. I mean, it's only there's been one episode
Yeah,
between
just one.
this one and the other one.
Yeah,
So maybe just more space
agreed.
between
Yeah, and it would.
would have
I
been
mean,
better.
it wouldn't be that hard to mix it up. Just like don't put them on stage. I think putting them on stage was the thing that was really like, okay, we're doing
Yeah.
this exact thing
We're doing it
again.
again.
But I guess if I was like going through and if you have to watch one Jinda's episode, watch this one. How about that?
Yeah.
You agree
Okay. Yeah.
with that
We can
assessment?
agree on that.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Kendra, what was your Ichiwawa moment? And we're using Ichiwawa in the appropriate way, meaning like a fun or exciting thing.
Um, it's tough. I think I'm gonna go again with what I said last time, which was there's a lot of cute animals. I mean, as soon as those
Yeah.
ferrets came
Yeah.
in and started tying up the rocks, I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
More ferrets, please.
Yeah. No, as soon as they popped in, I was watching this with my son, and I laughed right out loud. Like when it happened, we were both just like,
Yeah.
"What?" So yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I
And I
think,
thought the
yeah,
Scandits were cute as well
yeah, I liked
with
him.
their little spears.
Yeah,
That
very,
weren't spears. I mean, those weren't gonna hurt you
no, they
if
were
they pushed you with those.
very Muppety, very
Yeah.
very Muppety. Those little guys. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a good one. That's a good one. I second that. I gotta give my Ichiwawa moment to the Rock Wizard though. I mean, I know I
Oh,
razzed him for being from another show, but when he showed up, I kind of like sat up and was like, "All right, let's see what this guy's got to say." You know. So
yeah.
I liked him. Okavark, did you have an Okavark moment, Kendra? What was the dumb moment for you?
I've got to give it to that song that
Mm,
what's his face sings about
yeah,
why they're
Bondo.
cursed because
Yeah.
it started fine. He was like telling the story
Yeah.
along with the rhythm, and then the more he went, the worse the rhyme got, and then he
Yes.
just was completely off the rhythm.
Uh-huh.
So it was like the music was still going to the rhythm, but he wasn't on the rhythm at all.
Right.
And it was just like, I was just like, make it stop.
Mm,
Get to the end of the song.
yeah.
So yeah, that was rough.
See, remember, Kendra, we had you on the first Jinda episode because of your musical background, because
Yeah.
Nisa just wanted to play the flute, and here it comes back
Yeah.
again.
Oh, by
You,
the way, she
yeah.
plays her flute, but we never see the flute. Where did she pull that flute out from?
Good question.
They don't have pockets.
Good question. Wow. You really blew the lid off this thing. Good question. I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know.
Mm.
Huh. Gosh. I wrote down that my oak of arc was the taffy. I hated everything with the taffy.
Oh
I hated
yeah,
when they were
taffy is
stirring it.
gross.
I hate when he fell in it. I hate when he was all covered in taffy and leaves. I hate when things were sticking to him. All of that stuff I hated.
That's really unpleasant.
It is, but the song is worse. You're right about that. So I'm
Yeah,
glad, as long as we have it covered, that somebody hated
yeah.
that. I'm glad.
Do you like
Um,
taffy in real life?
I used to, though I did lose a tooth in taffy, and that kind of colored it for me. Yeah. I
Oh.
was like eating taffy, and I was like, oh, this is crunchy. And I swallowed my tooth in taffy.
You swallowed
I
it?
did. I did,
Oh my
Kendra.
goodness.
Yeah. Yep.
Ugh. Yeah, I've never really liked it just because it's so hard to
It is
eat. It
hard.
just hurt. It hurts your
Yeah.
mouth to eat
Laffy
it.
Taffy? Laffy Taffy, though.
Yeah, that's easier.
You
That's
can, yeah.
better.
When I lost that tooth, this is not a relevant story, but when I lost that tooth and I swallowed it in the taffy, I was really upset to not have anything to put under my pillow. So I looked around and I found a little tiny white rock, and I put that under the window, or under my pillow, and thought, this'll fool the tooth fairy.
And did it?
And it did.
Yeah.
It did. You know what? It is
She's a
relevant.
dummy.
It is relevant because that rock wizard also lost a tooth.
Yes, it is
So
relevant.
there you go.
Good job.
It all comes
Brought it
back
back around.
together. Do you think there's a moral or a lesson in here? We tr- we try to
Um,
look at, a lot of times cartoons of this era would afterwards would have like almost a post-credit scene where the characters would come out and be like, kids, we had a lot of fun today learning about curses.
uh, no,
I
what did the rock wizard learn not to jump to conclusions or something?
could be, could be. I also feel like what they were trying to drive home a little bit maybe was everybody was making fun of Wicket for buying the tooth, which he thought was the lucky
Mm,
rock, for Nisa. And then once it turned out to be the thing that saved it, everybody was like, oh, we shouldn't have made fun of you for buying that tooth rock
yeah,
gift
yeah,
for your little girlfriend bear. So maybe it was that. Like maybe.
yeah,
So
maybe.
jumping to conclusions. How about that? Don't jump to
Yeah.
conclusions.
Well, Wicked also learned that to quit while you're ahead
Mm,
because he got on stage and wanted to mess with everybody, and then
you're
they
right.
ended up getting caught.
That's true.
So,
That's true. This was
yeah.
informative.
Yeah, super informative. I feel better for it.
I'm glad you do. Yeah, I'm glad you do. How many yub nubs do you give this one, Kendra?
Oh boy, I'll give it 3.
3? Okay. I'm
And I'm
gonna.
only comparing it to the only other episode I've seen.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 3.5 because it's better than the last one, and I like the Rock Wizard. Again, from a
mm.
different cartoon, but I like that. I liked that.
Wouldn't it be cooler
That
though
Rock
if he
Wizard.
was like a rock and roll wizard? Like he
Yes,
had a
yes,
guitar.
obviously, obviously.
All right, well,
And then he started singing the Ewok song, and that's the
yeah.
reason why we have that song because it's the Rock
Yeah.
Wizard's gift to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
See, we just wrote a better Ewok show. It's not hard, is all I'm saying.
Should we reboot the Ewok show?
Oh my gosh. Do you know? Do you know anybody?
I
Could you
mean, no,
could you place some
but
calls? Okay.
maybe.
All right. Well,
I mean, I can certainly call
you
people.
get,
I don't know if they'll talk to me.
you got my hopes up for nothing. All right, Kendra. Well, I'm sorry that Steve couldn't join us today, but I'm glad that
Me
you were
too.
I'm glad that you were here at least, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Kendra, if there's no more Jinda episodes, so who knows if I'll ever be able to lure you back onto this podcast. So if people are just transfixed by the magic that you bring to a podcast, what other podcast might they look to?
Well, I've got a couple other ones. I have the one that I do with you, Nick, 902 One Here We Go,
Yeah, yeah.
where
Uh-huh.
each week we watch a episode of Beverly Hills 90210. And I also have a 90s music podcast that I do with my husband Eric. It's called 90s Music Got Me Like.
Yeah.
And each week we talk about a different 90s song. We've got a poll up. I don't know when this is going to come out. We regularly put out polls for the listeners to choose our next song. And there is one up right now. I don't know if it'll still be up when this comes out.
Okay. I can
Go
look
check
at
it out.
I love it. Well, then I hope you'll join us next time when Steve will be back and we'll be talking about episode 8, The Land of the Guppins. So I'm finally going to learn what a Guppin is.
Oh, you gotta tell me what a guppin is.
I will. Well,
I hope
maybe
it's a little. I hope it's a little frog of some kind.
I also hope that. Kendra, I just want you to be aware that even if you're not on the podcast, you can still watch the episodes in your
That's true.
in your own personal time. You can do that.
Yeah, that's true.
You could do that. All right. Well,
I work from home, so I could knock it out in like a day.
That would be great. The whole thing. I would love to hear your thoughts on the whole series, and I hope for your sake that the Guppins are tiny frogs.
Me too.
That's what I hope. On behalf of my co-host, Steve Rudd, Kendra, I thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time, everybody. This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. You can find more about this show and others like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook or Twitter at Endorian Life. And please rate, subscribe, and share this show wherever you get your podcast. Kendra, you could leave a review if you want. You could rate or review this podcast if you wanted to.
I'll think about it.
Okay.
All right, guys, let's talk Jindas. You ready? Nick? You there? Kendra? Anybody?